been doing that all on Corums and finds himself ever and before again. I'm sure for a 12.
Purely in part, that's because these lads they're scuffing one another up so much with their attempted passes, and their slip back can kind of just sneak in behind them.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you know, Bourne, he's had a really good go at trying to get away a couple of times. Casey O'Gorman's had a go at trying to get away, but none of them seem to be able to do it here. And you know, that's what's keeping it all nice and close. You know, they all want to lead it and they're all duffing each other up, but you know, it's brought in together, you know, 6 guys, and we're going to get a great battle because of it. So I'm not complaining.
As we move towards half distance, right around the outside there comes number 17, the championship leader Franco Bourne, retakes the initiative ahead of Charlie Farrer. The Honda British Talent Cup, race 1 of the weekend. Remember, they've got another outing tomorrow. I'm just checking downfield to see the last person. The last point at the moment belongs to number 44, Lucas Hill. And Annabelle Thomas, I think, is just behind him. So Annabelle is on the fringe of the points. And over the crest of the hill to complete lap 7 then. We're at half race distance here as Farrer retakes the lead again from his fellow County Durham, the county of the Prince Bishops. Those 2 boys fighting it out at the front as they did at Donington Park before they got stung by the young Casey O'Gorman.
Number 17 there, Franco Bourne, giving it the big Rossi angle down into turn 2 there, but it didn't quite work for him because 71, Charlie Farrer nicked back through.
Farrer, who helps his dad out as a landscaper, his dad Noel, and he tried mini banks at a thing called Bikewise, which was backed by Durham Constabulary. It was kind of manned by volunteers to introduce
I went
kids
to a
bikes.
Bikewise day when I used to ride for HM Plant. They're obviously based up in that neck of the woods, and I went to a day for them once before and spent a load of time skidding around in Vauxhall Omegas on a skid pan and all sorts of things. I had a really fun day, actually. It was great.
Well, that's where Charlie Farrer first got interested in motorcycles as a kid. Before that, he played on motocross bikes, as so many. How many kids have not started on PW50s, eh? The absolute do-all Yamahas that kids start out riding.
I think Zach had a PW50 by the time he was about 6 months old.
As we go dodging through the left-hander at Brundles, then into the right-hander at Nelson, head round to the bomb hole. Charlie Farrer leads the way, still from Franco Bourne and number 16, Harvey Claridge. And then Eddie O'Shea, the man who was on pole position. And this idea of going the long way round Corums is a constant kind of carrot these lads see dangled in front of them.
Talking of constant carrots, Harvey Claridge there coming out of the bomb hole, very wide and out onto the edge of the curbs and onto the grass. That's a fast corner to be running across the top of the grass, Jack.
And as Casey O'Gorman simply dropped right off the pace. He's pulling in. O'Gorman's pulling in. He's got a problem. Shaky. He's out.
Yeah,
the kid who won the first race at Donington.
Not so sure what's gone on there, but obviously that's a little bit of a disaster for him because won the first race of the championship, and the second one, and now he's pulled out of this. Is not ideal at all.
Eddie O'Shea beginning to move through now to show his pace. The lad who looked to be out of contention in the early pole position, but that's certainly on number 8. O'Shea and.
Rather dejected looking young man there.
Oh dear.
Not too sure what's wrong with his bike, but doesn't seem too keen to get off of it.
He doesn't, does he? Are they going to try and push it again, or do they think that it's going to? No, they're just going to put it on its stand. Casey, at least Casey so far hasn't. There's no histrionics from the lad. He's looking very calm about it, which is good. Charlie Farrer was in the lead, is no longer on the 9th lap of 14. He's just behind Harvey Claridge. There's Eddie O'Shea. And suddenly there's a bit of a spread. Harvey Claridge has made a break here.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say Harvey Claridge is having his little go now at trying to get away and dropping the rest of the guys. But you know, they just need a little bit of room in the infield really, because if you can just get far enough away that you break the slipstream and the guys can't get in your slipstream down that back straight, then you can concentrate on doing your job. But you know, as we said earlier on, these guys are all battling. The race is so close that nobody seems to be able to get away.
9th lap of 14 then, the Honda British Talent Cup Race 1 here at Snetterton in Norfolk, the former Second World War aerodrome circuit that first started hosted motorcycles back in 1953, and we got a problem there for something dreadful's happened to that number 27.
It looks to me like the exhaust is actually blown apart. Inside of the tailpipe there for Callum Beach, the exhaust has kind of blown apart, and that's all the fiberglass wadding that's inside to keep the silence in nice and, well, as quiet as these things can be. But yeah, that'll sound pretty noisy if he's sat on that right now, but it looks like he's turned it off and just pushing it back.
So, here, what happens here? Oh, there's bits coming off it, look. There's all sorts of bits coming off it.
It looks to me, Jack, like the exhaust just fell apart. That's just all, like I said, all the packing, all of the wadding that's come out the back, but the exhaust has completely disintegrated. So
that's very unfortunate for the young man from Abergele. So he's out of the reckoning then. And back at the front, we've still got this scuff going with Eddie O'Shea leading for the first time. So off pole position, it's taking him. Oh, and down goes Jamie Lyons. He fell. He fell, not really of his own volition, at Donington Park in race 2. This time, of his own accord, he loses the front, it looked like, as they went into Agostini's.
Yeah,
and it's a big squeeze here by number 17, Franco, finding he could just slide through inside Eddie O'Shea.
Franco Bourne seems to be the man that wants to stay out the front here, doesn't he? Doing a great job there.
So storming again down the Bentley Straight, the front quartet now well and truly broken clear.
O'Shea having absolutely nothing of it. Used the slipstream there down the back straight and straight back into the lead again.
Oh, this is what happened to Jamie Lyons.
Yeah, I think we're going to see just ever so slightly wide there, just running in, trying to stay with the other guys. He would have lost the front on the brakes and gone down like a pretty harmless crash, and he'll be ready to fight another day tomorrow. There we see number 17, Franco Bourne, sticking it up the inside of number 8. That was a tight move, but perfectly executed.
You could only do that with when the kid you're overtaking is that tiny, couldn't you? There's enough room on the
bullying
inside.
him, yeah, to get out of the way.
Jamie Lyons, I would guess the wind kind of lifted the front a bit, perhaps, as he went into that and lost it into Aggles. Tried to retrieve it, but to no avail. Charlie Farrer then is quickly back up into 3rd place to threaten. Oh, and a big moment for Eddie O'Shea then, is he? Cool.
It looked like he had a bit of a bike problem then for a minute, didn't it? It looked like he wasn't happy with something. But, you know, considering the strong winds and the gusts of winds that we're getting here, Jack, I'm really surprised we've seen less mistakes. So that was like the first mistake that we've seen on camera and somebody go down. So the boy's doing a good job.
So Eddie O'Shea then, after that bobble, just brought him momentarily to his senses, is just squeezed back to 3rd place, but he's still going to have another go at Charlie Farrer.
Franco Bourne, early in the lap, as I said earlier on, you know, he had a 4/10 advantage just then. He needs to try and get that built up as much as possible, because if he can get onto the back straight without the guys being able to slipstream him, he should be able to get away now. This is about the biggest gap we've seen so far from the front to 2nd place. So, you know, fingers crossed he'll maintain that down the back straight now.
Already, remember, with our hand, due to being the only consistent scorer at the... Oh, what's this? The man in 2nd place.
Yeah, just run over the top of the inside curb there and got the bike all a little bit squirrely. Definitely gave him something to think about, because he sort of sat up and, you know, kind of counted his blessings. I think it's not very often you run across the inside of a curb on the inside of the track and get away with it, especially as a corner as fast as Turn 1 here at Snetterton.
The boys desperately trying to cut back the lead of Franco Bourne, because remember, Franco has a 17-point advantage in the championship standings already through being the only consistent point scorer at the first round. So, and he's really pulling out an advantage here on lap 11 of 14.
Yeah, he just managed to do what I said. You know, he got enough of a gap early on in the lap there to break the slipstream, and he'll do the same here as well. The guys number 71 won't get a toe up the front straight. Sorry, here. You should see number 8 past number 71 as we go up the hill here, but 17 Franco Bourne just looks to be far enough clear that he won't get caught on the slipstream.
So as they go over the line, they're neck and neck with Farah trying to respond but can't make it through. And the Wham Honda has done enough to go. And again, that round the outside move, this time going through Riches by number 16, Harvey Claridge, but gets blocked out into the hairpin. Charlie Farah, who actually scored some points in 2018 in this championship, finished 18th overall, and then moved up to 7th place in 2019. So this is his final chip at this championship.
Franco Bourne there, Jack, has been lowering the lap time as this race has gone on, and just done another lap record there, 2:04 flat. So he's really got the hammer down, trying to get away from these pursuing 3 guys.
That was impressive, wasn't it? That last lap, 2 minutes 40 against O'Shea on a 2 minute 4.5 and Farah on a 2 minute 4.2.
It's quite funny, you know. You watch these young kids on these little bikes, and I remember spending a bit of time talking with Casey Stoner when he used to be in what was 125 or Moto 3, you know, the equivalent of these bikes. He used to say that he absolutely hated the Moto 3 bikes because the amount of commitment that you had to make to a corner to maintain your corner speed and to break guys at that level was like off the scale. When you get to the bigger bikes, you know, you can stop the thing a little bit more, you get the bike turned, you know, you can kind of make it up as you go along. But with these things, it is full-on commitment from the minute you start to the minute you finish, and anything less than that, and you'll get dropped. And you know, you can see for these guys that that's exactly what's happening.
Number 99, Bailey Stewart Campbell, the lad from Buckingham, who was involved in that incident, shall we call it, at Donington Park. Right behind him, Harrison Crosby from Ashford on the Banks Racing bike, always distinctive, the yellow Banks Racing machines. Number 48, Ollie Walker on the Moto Rapido SP125. You can see from the titles of these outfits that quite a lot of the BSB teams are kind of dipping fingers into this particular pie and running teams.
Yeah, well, they need to, you know, because at the end of the day, these are the guys that are going to be the future potential BSB champions, you know. And you know, getting to ride these little bikes, Jack, they you know, they need to be tucked in, they need to be perfect. You see the guys getting themselves in position, getting everything behind the bubble, getting as aerodynamic as they could possibly be, and the racecraft that this teaches them for when they get on the bigger bikes is fantastic.
Franco Bourne did another close to 2 minute forward, 2 minutes 4.2 on the last lap. So, and again, the only man, this time it was Harvey Claridge who was within a tenth of a second of it. But really, number 17, Franco Bourne, has found just the lap times he needs. Perhaps it's just willful racecraft, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He was saving it for these last 2 or 3 laps, because he certainly found the pace.
He certainly looked in the beginning of the race that this is what he looked like he wanted to do, but you know, the guys were all able to run with him. They were all beating each other up, weren't they? And he had a few stabs at this, and finally the final stabs worked, and he's definitely broken the pack now. So just over a lap or so to go, and it looks like he's got this one, so it's going to be a battle for second.
So the SP125 Honda then leads the way. This is the battle going on behind him, with Charlie Farah desperate to get that second place off number 16 Harvey Claridge, and at the same time being nagged by the beautiful day glow yellow and white outfit of number 8 Eddie O'Shea. These guys way clear at the moment. Dufton in 5th place, number 46, is about 23.5 seconds behind, ahead of Corey Tinker, Stuart Campbell, Crosby, Walker and Hitchcock.
Yeah, unfortunately we got a massive gap after 4th place there, Jack. You know, the next guy's 26 seconds back, so shows what a great job these 4 are doing, you know. Obviously Casey O'Gorman would have been there had he not have had his technical problem, but yeah, these 4 are absolutely flying.
Hats off to Annabelle Thomas. She's moved into 12th place ahead of James Cook. So Annabelle Thomas having a really good race, and in a bit of a battle at the moment with number 14, Pendrell.
A name you might recognise, Jack, a little bit further down the order there in 19th place is Coates.
Rhys Coates.
Rhys
from
Coates.
Newton Abbey.
Yes.
On the Ernie Coates race.
Ernie Coates racing
on.
bike. Obviously, Nicky Coates, who used to help out Glenn Irwin when I was riding in Be Wiser. Nicky's an Irish superbike rider. You know, the Coates family have a really successful race support business over in Ireland, and young Rhys is on his second ride on this bike, so getting out there and getting some experience.
So Ernie Coates, his granddad, was a wicked performer on 250 and 350 Yamahas. Irish road racer, gnarly Northern Irish.
I'll take your word for that, Jack.
I've learned all this. I've learned all this from Mr. Whittam, and a very respectable performer in the short circuits. And he used to run his little support van back then.
That's it.
So if you needed some bits and pieces, like a can of oil or something, you went to see Mr. Ernie Coates.
Well, now Nicky Coates is running some completely different kind of oil, because he's around selling cannabis oil or whatever it is called that everybody's into at the moment. So he's running around with a different type of van now.
Meantime, on track, look at this. Franco Bourne is clear, but so too, if he doesn't make a mistake, Charlie Farrer looking good in second place. So this could be, excuse my bias here, it could be another County Durham 1-2, because Charlie Farrer there has just squeezed a bit of an advantage on O'Shea and Harvey Claridge.
Yeah, barring a big mistake here, this is going to be the finishing order. So the last thing I think that could happen, number 16 there, just on the back. If he gets a good slipstream on number 8, then there's every chance he could pip a third, but it's going to be very, very tight. It looks like it's done to me.
For the championship leader, Franco Bourne, it's a very healthy 25 points as he storms the hill. Franco Bourne takes it, but behind him, it could be that Eddie O'Shea, the flyweight 13-year-old, had pumped there as he crosses the line, because he's just nicked through ahead of Charlie Farrer, just literally on slipstreaming up that fairly steep hill. Harvey Claridge takes 4th place. So it's Bourne, O'Shea, Farrer and Claridge. Terrific breakaway there in the last 3 laps by Franco Bourne, and Eddie O'Shea thrilled with the fact that he managed to pounce on Charlie Farrer when it looked as if the 18-year-old had what you would call a solid second place. So Franco Bourne then is your race winner. And meantime, storming up the hill now, here we come with Crosby having nabbed the advantage on the Banks racing bike. As they go up the hill, then number 15, Harrison Crosby, crosses the line ahead of number 48, Ollie Walker, and number 99, Bailey Stewart Campbell. And next one through, number 43, Ryan Hitchcock from Melksham on the Wilson Racing Honda. And here's another battle coming through the final turn. There's number 66, Annabelle Thomas, fighting up the hill behind number 14, Evan Pendrell. She's been behind the VCH Racing Honda all the way through as she tries to come. Oh, I think she's got him. Annabelle Thomas nicks it on the line. At least I think she did. No, according to my timing screen, she didn't. I thought she got it as they crossed the line. So we got down Pendrell, Thomas, and then the next up the hill is number 57. This is Josh Hyatt from Cannock on the Wilson, another of the Wilson Racing Hondas, and he crosses the line just ahead of Sullivan Mounsey, number 4, and number 69, Gary Scott. But the man ahead of all of them was this guy, Franco Bourne.
Very impressive performance that, Jack.
It was, wasn't it? We're not used to seeing someone create a breakaway like that and making it stick.
Not only that, fastest lap, 2:03.8 on the very last lap of the race. So, yeah, he just got faster and faster as the race went on. And the impressive thing for me was that, he had a few goes at that. He tried to get away a couple of times and it didn't work, but finally made it work and fastest lap on the last lap. So, very, very impressive performance.
So, Franco Bourne, excellent performance by the young man from Crook. So Franco on his cooling down lap then. We'll be grabbing a word with him after this. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say about it. He's now gone 2-1-1 in 3 races. Coming up the pit lane then, number 17, Franco Bourne. Behind him, the boy from pole position who didn't look like he was going to be able to motor into second place, but he really fought hard and kept on nagging away at the older boys around him. And Eddie O'Shea finally clinched that second place on the charge up the hill.
I'm taking it that's Dad. He looks very, very happy with his son's performance there, and as he should be. That was a really strong performance.
I'd like to find out who the boy's named after. Franco Uncini, whether it's Franco Uncini or perhaps Franco Sheen, Barry's dad.
Franco, he was a great man.
What, Franco Sheen?
He was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the results then, Franco Bourne takes the race win for the Franco Bourne Racing SP Steve Patrickson 125 racing team. The WAM Racing Honda of Eddie O'Shea nicks second place from the bigger figure of Charlie Farrer on the Victoria House Racing Academy Mortimer Racing Honda. City Lifting SP 125 Harry Claridge in fourth. Elliot Dufton leads the rest on the D&D racing bike ahead of Corey Tinker and Harrison Crosby. Ollie Walker in eighth place. Bailey Stewart Campbell in ninth. And Wilson Racing, the wonderful team that used to for so many years run the great Guy Martin, in 10th place there with Ryan Hitchcock. Annabelle Thomas nicks that 11th place brilliantly on the Microlise Creswell Racing Honda ahead of Evan Pendrell, Lucas Hill, Josh Hyatt and Sullivan Mounsey, just nicking that final championship point for the Lloyds & Jones PR Racing team ahead of Gary Scott, number 69. And that means that the Honda British Talent Cup of 2020, there's a colossal lead already for Franco Bourne after 3 races. 70 points ahead of 42 for Eddie O'Shea, 41 for Harvey Claridge. Bailey Stewart Campbell level on 32 points with Charlie Farrer after Farrer's gallant third. And then Elliot Dufton on 27 points is sixth ahead of Casey O'Gorman. That one race win for 25 points, now in a lowly 7th place in front of Harrison Crosby, Ollie Walker and Corey Tinker. 11th place for Ryan Hitchcock ahead of James Cook, his fellow Wilson's racing man, and then Jamie Lyons, Evan Belford, Sullivan Mounsey and Evan Pendrell on 5 points level with Annabelle Thomas, the lady who just nipped him on the way to the line there in the nicest possible way. 17th overall ahead of Gary Scott, Rossi Dobson and Lucas Hill.
Franco, great ride in what was reasonably blustery conditions on these little things.
Yeah, it was such a hard race. It was difficult getting tangled up with all the other riders at the start, but I knew I had the pace to get away. So I tried it and we managed to get the win in the end.
And extended your championship lead?
Yeah, that's really good. I wasn't really looking at the points for the championship. I'm just taking it race by race. But I'm happy to have the points in the championship as well.
Great ride, well done.
Cheers, thank you.
Lovely little County Durham voice there from a town in the north middle of County Durham that was very famous for its amateur football team in the 1950s. The Crook Town actually famously won the FA Amateur in about 1955-56. I know, and part of the reason I know that is because of a friend of my dad's actually played wing half for them.
Quite a nice attitude actually from Franco Bourne there. He's completely right in his in his outtake on things, because it's all well and good looking at a championship and thinking about where you're going to finish in a championship, but at the end of the day, if you're featuring or focusing on each individual race, you take care of the races, the championship will take care of itself. So just looking one race at a time, perfect attitude.
And it's certainly working for him so far. Charlie Farrer then somewhat disconsolately climbs onto the 3rd step of the podium yet again. A very sparky Eddie O'Shea, very lanky Eddie O'Shea ignores him and stops onto the 2nd step of the podium. And then a pat on the back there from Charlie Farrer for his fellow County Durham lad who's on top of the box. Franco Bourne with a 28-point lead in the championship. He started out with a 17-point lead and he's extended it to 28 with that convincing race win. So time for the photographs in the sunshine here, the very, very warm sunshine here at Snetterton in Norfolk. Wait to see if there's a national anthem to come up. So Franco Bourne then takes victory ahead of Eddie O'Shea and Charlie Farrer and extends his lead in the 2020 Honda British Talent Cup in no uncertain terms, with a blistering lap record as well on the final lap. And this is how the race went. Number 71, Charlie Farrer, getting an absolutely blazing start from the middle of the front row of the grid and holds it on long enough to maintain the lead almost as far as Richie's. But Eddie O'Shea dives through with Casey O'Gorman just behind. And then the usual suspects are already involved. Franco Bourne and Harvey Claridge getting involved in things. Charlie Farrer takes the lead out of the slipstream, and most of those slipstream changes were what altered this race. Round Corum's absolutely neck and neck. Casey O'Gorman, the flyweight 13-year-old, is able to zip his way past on the way up to Richie's, and then getting about 4 riders abreast coming round Corum's. That actually put him on the grass, the little fella, and then Jamie Lyons lost the front going into Agos and slid out of contention. Eddie O'Shea took the lead for the first time, but look at the way he got squeezed out by a determined Franco Bourne. And Franco Bourne then pulls away to take victory, and on the line Eddie O'Shea nicks second place from number 71, a despondent Charlie Farrer, but victory for Franco Bourne, number 17.